Can I get it lumpy, made in water?
You need your oatmeal more lumpy?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have that fixed right away.
Thank you.
I like my oatmeal lumpy. It says that.
What's up, guys? Dan with Muscle and Strength, and we are back with 5 more memorable meals. Now we're gonna get right to it, taking it back to 2015 when we filmed with Phil Heath. At the time, Phil had just won his 4th Olympia title and was just about to transition into his off season for the next year.
I'm gonna go to one of my favorite spots, Tokyo Joe's. There's tons of them here in Colorado, and now they're starting to branch out into other areas of the country. But it's where I go get a lot of my food, whether it be off season or pre-contest. They cook everything clean, non-stop. So we're gonna go get our grub on there. So I'll do a big steak with extra steak. And then I'll have white rice. Do spicy ackee on the side. I'll do broccoli, avocado, and hard-boiled egg, please.
I mean, off season, I can go anywhere from 5,000 to 8,000 calories in a day. It just depends on where I'm traveling to. Whereas pre-contest, you know, I start off at like 6,200 and then get down to like 4,300. Domestically, I can find a lot of different food companies. A lot have been really awesome to me, but internationally, it's always a little task because you have to figure out, okay, what can the hotel do for you? And can they do it round the clock? Because what if I'm jet lagged? Can they do 24-hour room service and then of what, burgers and fries? I can't have that. You know, I need to be able to have, you know, some chicken or steak.
Yeah, so one thing to note too, this was in 2015. Phil had 4 Olympia titles. And at the time, there really wasn't that many meal prep companies around. And staying on a very strict bodybuilding diet isn't always easy, especially when you're on the go.
Off season, I mean, I'll have a cheat meal every day at some point, you know? But a cheat meal for me isn't like pizza and burgers and stuff. Normal cheat meal would be like sushi or something. Comfortable for me is 275. 280 is a little uncomfortable. I got up to 285 one year. I believe that was in 2013, 2014. I'll never do that again.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at dieting, especially at his level. I mean, his physique is his business. It's like, hey, do you want to eat pizza or do you want to get this guest appearance and make $50,000 for a weekend? I'd probably want to just not eat the pizza. So overall, this is a really cool documentary, a really neat experience for me personally. And guys should definitely check it out. Definitely a memorable meal. All right, so we're moving into Joe Mackey's full day of eating. Now, I personally am a big fan of Joe. I think he's got a great physique combined with insane strength. So when we worked with him, I was really excited, but also curious, like, what does this guy eat?
Usually for breakfast, I have an option between egg whites or a protein. I actually have found out that I like fish for my breakfast instead of egg whites.
Fish for breakfast isn't really something new. We've filmed a few other athletes that do this, and most of the time it's just for preference. A lot of times you have to remember the texture of things. When you eat the same food sources every day for 16 to 20 weeks, you're bound to get sick of something. Most of the time it's eggs, at least from the athletes that I work with. And, you quickly try to look for other substitutes for protein sources in the morning. A lot of guys do chicken. Joe does fish.
You want your food to taste good. Don't shy away from, your flavors. And last but not least, Spenda.
One of the things I try to do is anything new that an athlete introduces in the kitchen, I try to emulate and try myself, just to give it the benefit of doubt, to understand, hey, maybe this actually does taste good. This did not taste good.
I like salty, sweet foods, okay? Depending on what is going on. In this case, my fish, my tilapia, all right? So I'll add 1 packet per fillet. Maybe 1 more. We're not on a diet.
Well, like you said, he's not on a diet, so he's got a crazy metabolism, and this probably doesn't even faze him. Like, this is probably like 80 grams of fat, and probably doesn't even do anything to him. He probably just feels good and just gets even leaner the next day. But I always recommend measuring your nut butters, especially if you're someone like me. Like I could personally eat like 3 to 4 times the amount I was supposed to. It adds up quick.
I did my taste test. Everything tastes great. So now I'm about to kill this breakfast.
Hey guys, so this is my jasmine rice and my cod. This is about half my protein intake for the day. The rest will be chicken. These meals actually blend.
I don't think I had ever seen anything like this before. Like, unless you broke your jaw and you can't chew, I just don't find eating to be that taxing.
Started blending my meals about 2 years ago on a competition prep. I saw someone do it on YouTube about 3 years ago, and I thought to myself, that's never gonna be me. I'm never gonna do that. And then it got to one stage on competition prep where I was like, I was so sick and tired of eating food all the time. I thought, how can I get this in with just convenience? And then I decided to blend it, and I've never gone back.
So obviously he came up with this during prep. It became a solution to the problem, and he was able to stick with it. And I get that. You know, the biggest thing with bodybuilding too, it's a lifestyle. It's a long-term commitment. So if you're creating unrealistic goals, especially with diet, you're not going to be able to stick with it. So the biggest thing is you got to find a diet that becomes effortless for you to do on a day-to-day basis. If that diet becomes effortless and you're seeing the results, then you're on track for long-term success.
We've just finished our arm workout, and now we're gonna have yet another blended meal shake. This is the same thing, obviously, as cod and jasmine rice.
Imagine having an epic arm day. You're walking out of the gym, you have a crazy pump, you feel like a new man, and then you go to your car and you have a cod shake.
50 grams of protein from cod, 40 grams of carbs from the rice, but I've also put 1 scoop of Primeval Labs Isolit chocolate flavor in here as well, just for those fast acting proteins to get straight in there. So this takes us up to about 75 grams of protein in this one serving here. I'm not by the sink, but I'm in a car park, so at least if I'm sick, it's outdoors.
One takeaway from this is, hey, if this is what works for you and this has allowed you to stay on track, then it works. It's a little strange, and I think it's a little extreme in my opinion. So I guess one positive note is he found a solution to his problem versus just giving up or cheating.
Now, I don't really have a lunch because I'm eating so frequently, so maybe this would be lunch number 1.
So this is a really cool project. Brian had just switched over to the vertical diet, so he had a pretty dialed in nutrition plan, and we were really excited to get to film some of his meals.
I'm gonna start with, and basically every meal for me includes some type of red meat. So this is ground bison, and it's really good stuff. So we're gonna throw in the pan here. I think these are, it's like 2.5 pounds total, so just over a pound each package. This meal is an example of something I would do in my diet. I'm leading up to a contest, but this is normal for me. The only difference is leading up to a contest is we may bump up the carbohydrate a little bit more, but typically, and maybe the portion of meat a little bit bigger, you know, as we get closer leading up to a contest, just to push the calories a little bit more. But overall, it's you know, pretty standard for what I would normally eat. Next thing with this, we're just gonna use some salt. So that'll be really the only seasoning, you know, that I'm gonna throw on this. Everything gets weighed after I've already cooked it. This meal will be 12 ounces of bison.
12 ounces cooked, I would say, is close to 2 pounds of bison, which is just an insanely high amount of food. I think this just really goes to show just how much food Brian was eating at the time. Strongmen require a very specific type of diet. And I think when you switch the high calorie content to primarily clean food sources, it becomes way more expensive and probably a little bit more taxing to prepare and to eat. But I think physically the benefits are very high.
I'm gonna portion this out and do roughly 3 cups of rice with this meal, which is a little bit higher quantity of rice, but again, I'm in the process of bumping it up before I compete. So 3 cups of rice, which basically covers the bison completely. It's definitely a lot of rice. On top of that, I've got just some organic baby carrots, kind of depending on the size. You know, I normally do 4 or 5 of those with normally about 3 meals during the day. On top of this, we're just gonna dump some organic chicken stock. So this is gonna make this meal, I think it makes it delicious, but it also makes it a heck of a lot easier to eat. We throw the chicken stock on top here.
So the chicken stock was definitely something new to me. And I think it's really something that a lot of athletes are using more now. He uses the chicken stock for flavor, for micronutrients, but also just to make it more soupy and easier to eat. And you know that when someone's trying to find ways to make food easier to eat, that means that they're eating a lot of food on a daily basis.
Just gotta grab a spoon and then go to work. So the eating is the hard part. I always say that, you know, compared to you know, the training and recovery work and all of that outside, the eating, I think, is the hardest part because it's constant. It's all day. You got to stay on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think once again, it's like when you're eating that much, it becomes a full-time job to think about.
Good morning, Muscle and Strength. Come join me. Let's have some breakfast.
Oh man, I think honestly, I think a lot of you guys slept on this video. Vic is a big food guy and he's very particular about how he likes things to be. So he has no problem explaining it to you, which personally I find fascinating and I also kind of related to.
For now, I'm gonna stick to my usual oatmeal, my egg whites, my whole eggs, and some fruit.
Overall, this isn't that complicated of a breakfast order. I think if you go back and watch the video, what gets complicated is the way Victor orders it. Because like I said, he's very particular. He wants things made a certain way. And sometimes people don't understand certain expressions.
Thank you. Have a good day. Yeah, except they added some oregano, which I didn't ask for, but it's all right. And this is supposed to be all egg whites, so this has to go back, you know, because I have the yellows already. Yes, I ordered an egg white omelet and it came yellow.
You said an egg white omelet and what?
It's you added yolks to it.
Oh, okay. Room service.
Yes, I just checked the oatmeal. You made it watery. Can I get it lumpy, made in water?
You need your oatmeal more lumpy?
Yes.
Okay, we'll have that fixed right away.
Thank you.
I like my oatmeal lumpy. It says that.
For now, I'm gonna start with the eggs. It said 3 whole eggs, but 1 extra yolk is not gonna kill me. Soupy, I don't like oatmeal tasting like soup, you know? And it's when it's water, it's just too soupy and I just don't like it that way, you know? It's your first meal, you wanna start it right. I think the worst breakfast you can have is the breakfast you don't want. There you go. It's a new omelet, and it's dry. And see, nothing really is dripping and soaking, and voila, I got what I wanted. Okay guys, thanks for joining me for my hotel breakfast.
If you guys haven't seen this, I definitely recommend watching it. It's a fun ride. It's a little cringy, it's a little suspenseful, and it's a little comedic. And that actually wraps up another round of memorable meals. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to like and subscribe.